following program is intended for mature audiences.
Listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
What language is this? German. None of these... Are there any Germans on the team?
The only German I know of was like Olaf Kolzing, and he's been retired for years.
Let's see how many of these names I can pronounce correctly in Russia.
Is a German.
Sergei Bobrovsky. I can do that one. Let's see. Oh, hold on. I got a video playing here. Let me stop that. Let's see. The other goalies from the Avalanche, it is
Semyon Varlamov.
Varlamov, okay. Vasilevsky?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andre, that's easy. Kulikov, is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dmitry Kulikov, Andrei Markov.
Yes.
Dmitry Orlov.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Anisimov. How do you say the first name? Artem Anisimov. Pavel Datsyuk, that's an easy. Okay, here's one I'm not sure of. And this is one of my hometown guys here. Nikitin. So it just says, there's no N at the end. It just says Nikita.
Nikitin.
It's Kucherov, is that it?
Oh, Nikita Kucherov.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Nikolai. Kuhlman? Kuhlman, okay. Fuck, I'm not even going to try this next one. Evgeny Kuznetsov? Hey, look at there. Okay, Malkin, I can do. Vladislav.
Tarasenko?
No, name.
Namestnikov.
Alex Ovechkin, that's obviously an easy one.
Is that last guy on an NHL team?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, really?
Ovechkin.
Oh, Namestnikov. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Namestnikov. Okay.
Panarin, I don't know that. I never heard of him.
Artemi Panarin, he's a rookie.
And Vladimir Tarasenko, is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
so I didn't do too bad, really.
Yeah. Let's see. This is the All Europe, the Scab team.
All right, give me a link so I can follow along here.
Oh, Scab Europe. Actually, not a half bad team that they assembled.
All right, let's see here.
Frederick Anderson of your Anaheim Ducks, right out of Denmark. Yaroslav Halak, New York Islander from Slovakia.
Another Toledo gold digger.
Zdeno Chara out of Slovakia.
Isn't he about 65 years old?
Yeah, but he's also about 65 feet tall.
I know that. He's been around a long time, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Roman Josi, Switzerland. Dennis Seidenberg, Germany. Andrei Sekera, Slovakia. Mark Streit, Switzerland. Mikhail Bodker, Denmark. Leon Draisaitl, Germany. Yannick Hansen, Denmark. Marian Hossa, Slovakia. Andrzej Kopitar of the Fighting Kopitars from Slovenia.
Right.
Franz Nielsen, Denmark. Tomas Tatar, Slovakia. Thomas Vanek, Austria. And Mats Zuccarello, Norway.
So don't you think that it should be Thomas Tartar just because it would just be cooler?
It's Tomas Tatar.
I know, but Tartar's better. He should change his name.
It almost looks like if they just include a few more players, they could have just made this team Slovakia.
Right. Well, you got a lot of Slovakians in there. Denmark makes its presence known.
A few Swiss here and there. A German, an Austrian, and Austrians are basically just Germans.
Mm-hmm. They should have thrown poor Matt Zuccarello from Norway a bone and put him on like Team Sweden or something.
Oh, that was Scab Europe we just did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The Norwegians and the Swedes do not like each other. That would have gone over poorly.
No, well, their blood feud can't be as bad as the Finland-Sweden one.
Wait, those countries don't like each other?
There was a thing about Sweden kind of taking over Norway for like 60 years, and
Finland was technically part of Sweden for a long time too.
See, I just look at them as like they're just harmless little, they just do their thing. They ski a lot.
Sweden used to be like a bloodthirsty motherfuckers in the Middle Ages. Like
really?
The Swedish Empire took over everyone at one point.
Look at Sweden go. I would have never guessed.
Gustavus Adolphus, Charles the 12th, those two guys kind of ran rough shit. Charles the 12th, King Charles the 12th of Sweden once fought off Russia, Denmark, and Poland at once.
Wow. Not bad.
So, yeah, no, Sweden is harmless, socialist-like Scandinavia today, but they used to be pretty rough and tumble back in the day.
Wow, I did not know that. Sweden got a little game back in the day, huh?
Yeah, no. Now
you just think of them as like the just the goofy with that weird accent that they have, and they just ski a lot and
blork.
See, they've been playing.
Lots of good at Sweden, yeah, like that kind of stuff.
See, they've had to tone it down just for everyone else's sake, because otherwise,
Wow, man, I'm telling you, yeah, I had no idea.
Sweet, and they take hockey as seriously as Canada does. Back in the 2002 Winter Olympics, when they lost the elimination game to Belarus in a huge upset, Sweden's newspapers called it the National Day of Shame.
A National Day of Shame. No, that's Irish. What am I doing? They're like Scottish.
I just imagine that, they probably had the King of Sweden address the nation, and everyone was wearing black, and it was like a huge national crisis.
To do a Swedish accent, you need a longer sentence, because if you just use a few words, there's not enough time to get that lilt going.
Mostly, it's just these days it's just IKEA and meatballs. But and speaking of which, I've never really figured out what makes a Swedish meatball different from an Italian meatball.
Because they fucking say so. That's why it's Sweden, right?
It's the sauce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They were made back in the day when they were badasses. And they're like, they're Swedish meatballs because we fucking say they are. That's why.
Interestingly, another Sweden antidote. King Charles the 12th of Sweden, the guy who led his armies to fend off Russia, Poland, and Denmark at once. Later on, he kind of had a rivalry with Tsar Peter the Great of Russia, and he went down to the Ottoman Empire to negotiate a treaty with the Ottomans, because the Ottomans had beef with the Russians, and it turned out that he spent the entire time in the Ottoman Sultan's palace basically partying and sleeping with all the women in his harem.
Nice.
It got to the point where the Ottomans had to call in the army to forcibly evict the King of Sweden because he stopped drinking all the booze.
See? And we all along we thought Sweden was just this. Are they the ones with the St. Bernards that run through the hills, or is that Switzerland I'm thinking of?
Not Switzerland.
Oh, you just thought of them as just
Switzerland has the mountains.
This harmless little country that never caused any trouble, and look at them go. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of having a history major on our show. Anyway.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. They should just have, in the future, they should just have like a generic Team Scandinavia.
There you go.
Yeah, Sweden and Finland are too good. They can make their own teams on their own.
I'm telling you, you could probably get a Team Norway if you just let Thor Vikingstad participate.
He should be involved just because.
He could probably single-handedly, win the whole thing for Norway if he willed it.
Can you get a Thor Vikingstad jersey somehow? Is that available?
I'm sure you could get like a Norwegian national team jersey and customize it.
Oh man, how great would that be? Is that not the greatest name in the history of just names, basically? Anyway, I think it's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, teams are looking interesting. I think it would be hilarious actually, because this team, Scab Europe looks like they've actually got a decent team. It would be hilarious if they actually won it. The generic stopgap team.
No, the championship needs to be under 23 North America and Team Europe.
Team Scab Europe, right? Yeah, yeah. That would be cool. I'd like that.
Yeah.
This thing's getting some play, though. I mean, ESPN's actually...
Well, because ESPN has the rights.
I know that, but still, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's actually getting some... they're paying attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
You know who I just realized isn't on the team?
Who's that?
The Latvian locomotive.
Again, these are just initial rosters. I'm sure they'll add guys like him when the final rosters have been put down, which I think is June 1st.
Hey, and let's not forget, too, that Satan is the general manager of the Scab Europe team.
Miroslav Shatan.
Yes. I used to love when he played for the Sabres. I think he wore number 13, too, didn't he?
Yeah, he should have always played for the Devils and worn number 6. Just so you get a 6 on the back and 6 on each arm.
I'm telling you, they need to get Zemgus Girgensson.
Yeah.
Huh?
The Latvian locomotive.
He's Latvian the guy who made the All-Star team because all of Latvia voted for him multiple times.
Oh, he was our
all of Latvia.
Who was the guy this year? The
John Scott.
John Scott. He was like last year's John Scott, right?
Yeah, he was John Scott before John. It was cool to be John Scott.
But see, the thing is that John Scott had the better story because they actually had Gary Bettman as like the mustache twirling supervillain trying to.
Yeah, who's gonna hate on Latvia?
Yeah, you can't really hate.
I know. You would have thought the same thing about
Germany
Sweden.
And Russia?
Yeah, well, yeah. You would have thought the same thing about Sweden until you hear those stories Mike just told us.
Latvia's never bothered anyone.
Oh, no, like they're doing biggest omission so far. I mean, these things are far from set, right, Zach?
Yeah, they're still, again, they're just 16 players. Each team's missing, usually, I think all of them are missing at least 2 defensemen, probably 3 because you need an extra. And then 3 to 4 forwards.
No. You could. The Chicago Blackhawks proved you really only need 4 defensemen too.
That's right.
Well, they're going to try it again too with what they have.
Are they hurt? Are they hurt again defensively this year?
No, they don't have anybody else.
Oh well.
It's okay. You just have Duncan Keith who will terminate T1000 his way to another Conn Smythe trophy.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, thank you. I'd like the Ducks to be productive.
No, Ryan Kessler needs his chance at redemption to see if he can finally put down Duncan Keith because no human being alive can withstand his checks.
He shouldn't have said that.
No,
it's not his checks. It's just it was that much punishment because they were hitting them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That was the idea. But people like to twist things.
I know, and it's Ryan Kessler, so he kind of makes himself an easy target because he's already kind of a peen.
Yeah, but he's our peen now. Before I wouldn't.
Hey, speaking of, didn't the trade deadline just pass?
It did.
Yeah,
nothing happened.
What? Nothing. Oh, nothing happened. Okay.
Nothing happened.
It was
nothing of note. Like nothing.
No, I mean, all the stuff happened a couple days before. Like Eric Stahl.
I knew that he went to the Rangers. Right.
Because he can't play with he has to play with another Stahl at all times. His brother Mark is on the team.
I knew that.
And Andrew Ladd went to the Blackhawks a few days before that. But as far as the actual trade deadline itself, I mean, the only thing of note is the Dallas Stars wildly overpaid for Chris Russell.
Woo!
Well, not just the deadline day deals, but did anything happen other than there was nothing really of any significance, huh?
No, not
there was
really.
Andrew Ladd, Eric Stahl, but that was about it in terms of big names moving at the deadline.
I mean, the Blackhawks kind of shored up for another run, I guess, depending on how you look at it. They're far from unbeatable, but they kind of, I guess, made some moves that could work out for them. They're trying to get more mileage out of the current roster. So
they picked up Andrew Ladd to go on the wing with Taves.
Look, I think we need.
And then they picked up a couple Dale Weiss and Thomas Fleischman to kind of bolster the bottom 6 a little bit, but nothing groundbreaking.
I mean, look, Zach, we need to talk about for a moment about how smart Winnipeg was ditching the worst captain in the history of the NHL.
Oh yeah, of course, the worst captain in NHL history.
They have
dragging down yet another city. Winnipeg was smart to get rid of him.
They have rid themselves of the scourge that is Andrew Ladd. And
I mean, really, they didn't want him in the first place. He came over from Atlanta. I mean, when you look at the roster, you say, this guy's our captain. But he's garbage. But, of course, we joke. But some people don't haven't been on the boards long enough to know what jokes are.
Indeed.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah. But the Blackhawks now, in quotation marks, have the best captain and worst captain in the league.
Well, that's got to be good for something, right? Because you figure somewhere in the middle is a good balance, so it should work out fine for them.
Well, I don't know. People are on one hand, the Blackhawks. This is definitely a series of good moves by Chicago, but a lot of people are acting as if they are now unbeatable.
Yeah.
And they're not.
People are just trying to hand the Western Conference Final to the Kings and Blackhawks again, and it's like,
well, why don't you? It's because of their past history. I mean, it's kind of like what we do in the NFL with the Patriots. You just go, yeah, they're going to be there. I mean, I have not watched much hockey at all this year, so I don't know if the Blackhawks are as good as they were last year or not.
They've struggled.
Yeah, they've struggled. And again, the thing is with the Blackhawks, you even look last year. If it wasn't for Scott Darling coming in that Nashville series and saving their bacon, they were getting blitzed by the Predators before miracles happens, and then they move on, and they struggled most of the way. In the last time the Kings were in the playoffs 2 years ago, because again they missed the playoffs last year. When they were in the playoffs 2 years ago, they had to go to Game 7 every single time. They weren't world beaters or anything like that. They were down 3-0 to the Sharks in the first round.
Yeah, but that was
Sharks,
glorious. That was glorious.
But people are trying to make them out like they're the greatest teams of the generation. Yes, they've won the cups and all that, but I wouldn't say that they're world beaters. I mean, the Blackhawks could have lost to any of the teams they played last year, except for Minnesota, really.
Well, Minnesota just
can't beat the Blackhawks.
Minnesota just needs to learn that they're not allowed to beat the Blackhawks. It's like it's kind of like a rule in Transformers fiction. Stars never allowed to actually be the leader of the Decepticons, but it's sort of like that. The Minnesota Wild are never allowed to beat the Blackhawks, and the sooner the Wild realize that, the better it's going to be because. I can't deal with the boredom of another Blackhawks Wild playoff series that goes 5 games.
Yeah. And then the Kings, I know that they play the right style of hockey for the playoffs, but the fact of the matter is they still have trouble scoring. They can play decent defense, but I'd say that defensive core is not as good as it used to be. Jonathan Quick can be streaky bad sometimes, but then he can also be very streaky good. So he's up in the air sometimes. All in all, still a quality performer, but they still have trouble scoring. And yes, Andre Kopitar is great. Jeff Carter is fine, and Denis LeCavalier has somehow rejuvenated his career there.
I didn't even know he was on the Kings until he started scoring again.
LeCavalier he's with the Kings now?
Yeah, he got traded from Philly.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got traded maybe 2 months ago.
He should be right at home because it's sunny outside all the time, and he's wearing black and silver, so it's just like him.
Right. But I don't know. They both look very good again, but the Kings were running away with the Pacific Division to start off the season because the rest of it was so bad.
Well, the Ducks have
gone on this incredible tear since Christmas, and now they're 2 points behind the Kings. So the Kings looked like they were going to be world beaters and running away with it, and then they hit a skid in the middle of the season and went back to being normal. And the rest of the pack has caught up with them.
Oh, you're only 2 points back of the Kings now.
Exactly, and they played them, and they beat them. The Ducks beat the Kings on Sunday, and they go up to L.A. on Saturday to potentially take first place.
And here's San Jose again.
And San Jose's hot too. They've been right on the Ducks' heels almost this entire stretch.
I look forward to the San Jose banner that reads "Playoffs 2016." That'll be nice for them.
Yes.
Those poor bastards. Oh.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not picking – and I'll say this for the Blues and I'll say this for the Capitals too. I'm not picking you guys to win shit until you actually win something.
You know what, St. Louis? You're not getting me this year. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. I don't know.
St. Louis doesn't have it.
I don't care.
St. Louis looks so disinterested with trying to be better. That was one of the things about the trade deadline. Everyone was talking about some of the moves that weren't made, but it was also the teams that just didn't flat out do anything. The Blues are a team that they need something to get them going, And they're just like, no, we're fine. We're just going to go into the playoffs as we are. And it's like, well, if you go into the playoffs as you are,
you're going to lose in the first round in 6 games again.
And in the first round, you're going to play Dallas or Chicago? Good fucking luck.
Well, maybe it's a matter of – hold on. Maybe it's a matter of I'm just joking here, obviously, but maybe they're just like, hey, you know what? We're going to lose anyway, so why spend extra money or why make any moves? Fuck it.
There you go, Greg. You weren't the only one who thought that St. Louis would do it last year.
Let's see.
They have a strong roster.
Oops.
They have a strong roster. They have that tattoo is.
I didn't think they would make it.
Why anybody does that is premature championship tattoos.
That's just the dumbest thing in the world,
especially for a team that hasn't done it
ever.
It has a history. It has a history of choking in the playoffs.
Right. No, I didn't have them going to win the cup or even make the finals. I forget who they were playing, and I had them going a round or two further than they actually got.
Well,
and
I the Wild in the first round.
Yeah, that's what. Was that what it was? They lost. They lost. But I had them. I think I had them losing to. I don't remember how it was set up, but I think I had them losing in the conference finals. And I'm sorry, I'm never getting back on that bandwagon again because they always, for 3 or 4 years in a row, it's like, the Blues, this might be the time they actually do it. And fuck if I didn't get right on board with them, and every single time they blow it, so forget it, not anymore.
Well, the Blues' problem is they can't beat the Blackhawks either. And they shit the bed against Minnesota, and they're just glad that they changed the format because they don't have to play the Kings until the conference final anymore.
They can't. Not only can they not beat the Blackhawks, they can't even beat the team that can't beat the Blackhawks.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's like that team lacks a backbone, and I don't know why they don't see it or why they think Ken Hitchcock has been a great NHL head coach. He should have been fired last year.
Ken Hitchcock has gone to that point where, look, all due respect to his past accomplishments, it's gotten to the point where the game's passed him by and he needs to step away.
Yeah. Well, Ken Hitchcock is the Marty Schottenheimer of NHL coaches, except Ken Hitchcock won once.
And he's milked that to extend his career a bit longer. Yeah.
Because the Blues are basically they're kind of like the Sharks Midwest, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
They've been sharking before the Sharks. The Blues had something like a 20-year playoff streak, and 25-year playoff streak, and they never won the cup.
Yeah.
Hell, they made the first in their first 4 years in the league. They made the Stanley Cup final every year.
Well, that was after the '67 expansion, though.
Right,
that's
but still, they made it to the Stanley Cup final 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think they won a game.
No, well, that was
they did provide nice fodder for Bobby Orr to become immortalized against those, so that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't know where they are in the standings. Let me look really quick. But I'm sorry. I'm not buying it this year. I don't care. I don't care if there's some sort of special dispensation where they have to play the Blue Jackets in the first round. I'm still not taking them. I'm sorry.
That would be
if there's 4 plane crashes or whatever, and all of a sudden Columbus is like, hey, we're in the playoffs. No, I'd still take the Blues to lose. That's how off the boat I am with those guys. Where are they anyway? Oh, third.
They're third in the division, a clear third too.
They'll make it.
They're going to make it. They're going to be solidly in there, but again, they're going to play Dallas or Chicago in the first round. And I will say this right now. You can call me on it in 2 months if the miracle happens. They're not winning against the Stars or
the Blues. The Blues are tied with Dallas and Chicago with 83 points.
Great.
Okay.
They're not going to beat any of them.
I'm just saying. I just didn't realize that they were.
Chicago's big. The thing that's kept Chicago alive as long this season, because they have regressed a bit, is the fact that Corey Crawford has actually been having a very good season. Leads the league in shutouts.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Crawford has, and people give crap. People give Corey Crawford a lot of crap. Basically, he's not an elite goalie. He's
won 2 cups.
Yeah,
he's won 2 cups.
Been a big part of both those runs.
And again, leading the league in shutouts this season, and has probably been the single most consistent bright spot on the Blackhawks this season. So I don't know. I think the whole elite label is kind of a black hole discussion-wise anyway, and it's really only kind of funny to bring it up to remind however you define elite, Joey Flacco isn't it. But
who was the guy the Red Wings had, the goalie? And he won a couple cups.
Chris Osgood.
Chris Osgood, yeah. I mean, the Detroit fans just hated his freaking guts.
I don't understand why.
I don't either, because he had, 2 cups, maybe at least. I know he had at least 2.
I think he had
3.
2. I think he had 3. He was a starter for 2. He was a backup for 1 of them.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just like they just hated him, and it was, I don't know that they could have. I'm sure there were better goalies out there. I mean, that was Dominic Hasek was around, and there were other. But for what they had, I was like, what's the problem with this guy? You're making a deep playoff run every year. You got a couple of cups, and this guy's not good enough for you. Is that kind of like what we've got with Crawford here, basically?
No, not even really that, because it's not like Blackhawk fans are down on Crawford. If anything, they probably overrate him, but it's fans of other teams like Wild fans in particular I've seen are particularly vicious towards Crawford. Keep in mind, I am basing a lot of this off of what I see on HF boards, which you can find the worst of any one fandom on that place. So Wild fans, if you're listening, don't take this as a complete condemnation of your fan base. But
wouldn't you think, though, with the Wild? I mean, is it still Devin Dubnyk and Darcy Kemper's popping back in and out again? And if I had a choice between those two or Crawford, I'm probably going with Crawford. That's just me. You guys tell me. I don't know. I mean, Corey
Crawford is, again, I don't like the whole elite conversations, particularly when it comes to goalies, but he is probably as good an option as you can find in the National Hockey League these days.
You don't win 2 Stanley Cups on accident.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a very good goaltender, and he does make some incredible saves during the regular season even.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
well. That's the question.
I'd like to, anybody in the league would have him. Practically anybody in the league would have him right now.
I honestly think that the problem is a lot of hockey fans, Zach and I's generation and older, is we were spoiled for a long time because we had Brodeur and we had Waugh. And we had.
It wasn't just Brodeur. I mean, we had Brodeur, we had Waugh, we had Eddie Belfour.
Yeah.
And just to be a homer, Cujo, Felix Potvin,
Hasek.
Dominic Hasek, especially the 90s and early 2000s, golden age of
Richter. Mike Richter, right?
Mike Richter, yeah.
John Van Beesbrook. If you're going to go back that far?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All guys in that conversation.
Yeah.
Our generation of hockey fans were spoiled by the amount of good goalies we had.
I mean, fuck Dan Cloutier, come on. That was a joke.
We're in an era where all, save a couple guys, all the goalies are pretty much the same. They're all 6 foot or taller, and they all just kind of take up the net.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, okay, Mike doesn't want to talk elite, but what are we looking? What would be considered? Who are considered the elite goalies right now?
Honestly,
Carey Price.
I'd say Carey Price, Crawford, Lundqvist.
Lundqvist, obviously.
Although his white Michael Jackson gloves really freak me out. That's weird.
He wants to, keep his hands
dry.
Are those latex gloves?
No, I think they're cloth.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he just wears like these really form-fitting cloth gloves underneath his equipment. I'm like, that's kind of weird, dude.
Because who was it? There was somebody that used to wear a latex glove underneath. I can't remember what it was for, but anyway, I just thought maybe he was doing the same thing.
No.
But yeah, it's Carey Price, Pekka
Rinne, yeah.
Jonathan Quick,
yeah. But
as far as everybody else, it's what's the difference between Frederik Andersen and Ben Bishop?
Mm-hmm. Bishop's taller.
By a couple inches, but what I mean by that is,
I guarantee you, Stevie Yzerman's got a chart where he tracks goalie height.
What I mean by that though is they're both tall goaltenders that sit back in the net and just kind of play goaltender.
And it used to be actually that you could tell you could see a distinct difference in the styles that goalies played. Brodeur and Waugh.
Mm-hmm.
And to a lesser extent, Potvin. Well, not to a lesser extent, in the fact that Potvin wasn't quite at their level, but they all came from the same school of Quebecois goaltending, where it was butterfly shot.
Like Patrick Waugh was the quintessential butterfly goaltender, but Martin Brodeur was still a little bit more of a hybrid stand-up type. He would stack the pads more than Brodeur.
And Brodeur could handle the puck beautifully. Mm-hmm. Whereas Dominic Hasek just looked like he was flailing pathetically when he tried to play.
Right, Dominic Hasek would be all over the goddamn place, but
he was still pretty good.
Exactly.
When I was a kid, my coaches would always my coaches hated Dominik Hasek because they're like, do not emulate Dominik Hasek. He is not – because Dominik Hasek had no form and no technique. He was just weirdly double-jointed in all of his limbs.
He had the spine of a cat, and that's how he did it, yeah.
He just flailed in the net, and it worked out for him. It's like, no, don't emulate him. That's bad. But Brodeur had a bit more of a stand-up style. Osgood was almost a straight-up stand-up kind of goalie.
Well, not only that, but I don't think you would even put Osgood. And again, and maybe this is where Detroit fans have the problem with him. I'm not saying this as a knock, but I don't think I'd put him at the same level as the guys are talking about. But
he wasn't at that level, but he was.
He was pretty good.
He was in that same era, and I think that because you had so many just really solid goaltenders. All the goalies, even those who weren't quite at that elite level, like Chris Osgood, who were very good but not great, even they managed to have their own identity and stand out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cross into our kind of love of sports aesthetics here for a moment. I mean, it used to be that you could tell who a goalie was just by their mask or pad design.
Mm-hmm. They had distinctive designs that they carried with them that were the same. Now,
Artis Urbe with the white pads.
Oh yeah,
the dirty white pads, I should say.
I mean, the Patrick Waugh avalanches on the side, the John Van Beesbrook cat thing,
Mike Richter in the Liberty mask.
Mike Richter in the Liberty mask, and not only that, but you could associate goalies with pad brands like Patrick Waugh was always with Coho. Brodeur wore CCM, and before that Heaton. Cujo was Bauer. Belfour was Bauer. You just had these associations. Felix Potvin was with Bryans, and they all had their own unique kind of pad design, mask design. And now these days, not only has the talent kind of regressed a bit, so nobody really stands out above the pack, but everyone is wearing an airbrushed helmet and generic. And like generic stock Reebok or Reebok or CCM pads that they get out of a catalog and they're just color coded. So like nobody stands out.
Yeah, I don't like the airbrush masks. Do you guys?
No,
I think they look terrible. I think they look like something you buy at the county fair. I just think they're terrible. Give me like a good Mike Richter's Liberty mask is my all-time favorite, but it had nice, clear, defined graphics and it just looked good. And that's what we need to go back to.
Yeah, I prefer the clear, defined graphics. My two favorite masks are Ron Hextall's on the Flyers and actually Potvin's on the Maple Leafs.
Ron Hextall and Felix Potvin, one of the greatest goalie fights I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. and you don't get that anymore either.
Yeah.
You don't get like Ron Hextall and Felix Potvin, Patrick Waugh and Chris Osgood going at it.
Oh my God, that Red Wings Avalanche rivalry that thing was vicious, man.
And that's why, over the weekend with the Stadium Series game in Denver, more people were excited about the alumni game than they were the actual Stadium Series game.
Oh, I saw Stevie Yzerman scored a nice goal, which I'm sure thrilled Mike to death.
Yeah, you had Yzerman and Chelios and Holmstrom and all those guys going up against Patrick Waugh and
Sakic and
Peter Forsberg, Adam Foote.
That actually was a very nice nostalgia trip. It's like, Steve Yzerman scored on Patrick Waugh. It's like it's
pretty nice play too,
all over again.
Did you see it?
I did, yes.
Yeah, it was a nice job. I thought it didn't look like old timers playing. I mean, it was a little slower than normal, but they were still playing pretty good hockey, I thought.
Yeah, that kind of alumni game is different because most of these guys weren't playing or were playing not all that long ago.
Right, yeah.
Compared to, the Blackhawks and North Stars game they had where, the youngest guy there, I think they had Chelios and Roenick, but everybody else is from the 80s and 70s.
Wow, yeah. All right. And with that was cool, though. I love talking about the old hockey stuff. See, that's back when I was a really big fan, was back in the 90s and the early 2000s. That was like the height of my hockey fandom. I was just going to ask, too, Eddie Belfour was really fucking good, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah, you don't hear him come up a lot anymore, and it's like, if I remember, that guy was really great. Maybe it's He was the goalie for the last truly good Toronto Maple Leafs team, so that was I've got fond memories of Eddie.
I heard an interesting story over the weekend.
Go ahead.
regarding Eddie Belfour, actually.
Oh?
So Patrick Waugh, when he gets traded from Montreal to Colorado, makes them an instant cup contender.
Yeah.
You know what the original deal for Patrick Waugh was going to be?
Oh?
Patrick Waugh to Chicago.
Ooh.
For Eddie Belfour and others. You know why Montreal didn't do the deal? Because it's think of this as a Montrealer, a Quebecois.
Mm-hmm.
You have your potential trade recipients are either Eddie Belfour or Jocelyn Thibault.
They went with the francophone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that set the Canadians back just a little bit for a while.
Yeah, because I think they would have been a little bit better off with Belfour, probably.
Yeah, it's not it's like that.
God.
Jocelyn team, God damn it.
The only thing I liked about him was I liked him because he wore number 41. That was what I thought was cool.
You know what's funny about Jocelyn Thibault? You know who they had to get to? You know who they had to bring in as goalie to try to repair the damage he did for them between the pipes? Andy Moog.
Wow, there's a blast from the past.
Yeah. So who isn't exactly Mr. Frenchylvania? So.
Wow.
There you go. Good job, Montreal.
But then eventually they got Jose Theodore straight from France.
Jose Theodore, yep. And then he got into mob troubles, so they had to send him elsewhere.
But still has one of the coolest hockey pictures ever with his toque in one of the early.
Oh, he had one of the coolest hockey masks ever. Had the gargoyles on it.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. All right. Fun stuff. Yeah. Those are the good old days. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just the old get off my lawn guy, but.
I get very nostalgic about 90s, early 2000s hockey. Like,
it was awesome. That fucking lockout, just the sport had such great momentum going back then. I mean, it was really chugging along, and then that fucking lockout just ruined everything.
Especially just as someone who played goalie, I just loved hockey goalies at the time, and I even had like a book back then, and it would go through like all of the big goalies of the league, and it was such a golden age for goalies that even someone like Steve Shields was
I remember Steve Shields. Yeah.
Even he was recognizable, and he kind of like stood out, and he had sort of his own identity. And I don't know, you just don't see that these days.
Yeah.
How dare you mention Steve Shields in my presence?
Well, and I made a joke about Dan Cloutier, but he was like the heir apparent to Mike Richter for a little while in New York. There didn't turn out to be the case. But
He was also one of the paltry pieces we got back from San Jose for trading them Teemu goddamn Salami. We got Steve Shields and Jeff fucking Friesen.
Hey, we got hey. That book also had Guy Herbert.
Guy Hebert.
Guy Hebert, yeah. He was a pretty good goalie too, though. I mean, it wasn't bad.
Oh no, he was pretty good. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though.
Very first Mighty Duck.
That's the thing, though. Like you're talking, that was really it really was like a golden age of goalies back then, because I mean there was just a lot of good guys that were playing goalie. Remember? Who was the guy for the Caps?
Olaf Kolzing.
Ole the goalie. Yeah. He was pretty good. Sure. I don't know if he was from that era or not. I don't remember.
No, he was. Yeah. Godzilla. Yeah, he had Godzilla on his mask.
Yeah, and then there was he had Van Viesbroek in Florida, and it was just I'm trying to think. Oh, anyway, there was you could name the goalie for just about every team. I don't know that I could even come close to that now. I don't follow the sport nearly as closely, but there were just a lot more names, I think is what I'm trying to say.
I think the part of the thing now is you get a lot of teams that, because goalies there's so many of them that are decent, you have a lot of guys just trading for other teams' backups and using them as their starter. Like San Jose's starter this year is Martin Jones.
Yeah.
Generic name. Edmonton starter is Cam Talbot, who was the backup in New York for the Rangers last year. It's just.
Are they becoming kind of like second string quarterbacks are in the NFL, where if you're short, you look at the team and you go, well, this
kind of. And another problem is that a lot of teams
you get a lot of Matt Flynn's when it comes to goaltenders.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah,
and you have a lot of situations where teams split time, where they don't have a clear number one, so. Right. The Blues, for the longest time, they were splitting time between Elliott and Havlak this season. Was it Havlak?
Or it was Yaroslav Halak and
Halak and
Brian Elliott. And eventually they got rid of Halak, and now they have Jake Allen. Right now they have Jake Allen.
Jake Allen, that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. He was supposed to be. He was supposed to be pretty good, right?
He's fine.
But
again, him and Brian Elliott in particular are kind of that thing I was talking about before, where there is just so many straight up just blank goalies. Yeah. There are NHL goalies everywhere, and there's nothing discernible about Jake Allen from Brian Elliott or them from pretty much any other part of the middle class of goaltender in the NHL. Mm-hmm. They're just they're NHL. They're goalies that play in the NHL.
So is it just a thing like baseball goes in cycles where there was like an era where there were a lot of really good catchers and all of a sudden there aren't any? Is it just kind of like that, or is it like a change in the style of play, or what?
I think so. I think it's part of the development of goaltenders, because a lot of times, and you can speak to this better than I could, Mike, but a lot of times when guys are growing up playing hockey, everybody just takes a turn at goalie. Mm-hmm. Like nobody's like, I want to be the goaltender. Oh, no, somebody just ends up playing goalie.
I was weird. I was weird. I always volunteered to be goalie, but
I got to play.
I would have too, but there's from the stories I hear from most guys, it's just somebody needed to be goalie, so I was goalie that week, and I kind of liked playing it, so then I kept doing it.
I got to play goalie one time in a street hockey game, and it was literally the most fun I've ever had playing any kind of sport. And as much as I love baseball and all the other stuff, if I could go back to when I was 20 years old and go, okay, I want to be a professional athlete, the first thing I would pick would be a hockey goalie. I think it's just the most awesome position in all of sports.
But now, because you have a generation that are growing up on the tail end of what Mike and I went through, where you had all these great goaltenders, and a lot of kids' favorite players ended up being the goalies, because it's like they were all really good. They had cool designs. They had cool pads. Yeah. They had this cool armor that they basically got to wear out there on the ice. And it was fun. So now you had a lot of guys that were growing up wanting to be goaltenders, training specifically to be goaltenders. Mm-hmm. And now as that's gone on, you get not just you're getting whoever goes and plays goal, you're getting some of the better athletes that end up playing goalie. And so you get these tall guys, but they're tall so you think that there's more holes, but they're tall and athletic and quick and strong, mm-hmm. and they can close the holes, they can bend, they can flex, and they can because into the net.
Like in the old days, like a tall guy was pretty much a straight stand-up goalie, but that's not so much the case now. Like with like they can do the butterfly thing too a little bit.
Well, the whole Quebecois school of butterfly goaltending
is now
changed the game. It was everyone. You've kind of got more of a hybrid style starting to take over now, but yeah, the butterfly thing pretty much revolutionized how you play goalie.
Well, yeah, because I don't know when the switch took place or whatever, but for a time there was a clear line. You were either a stand up or a butterfly, and there was no in between, right?
When I was a kid, I was taught basically the stand-up style, and I was actively encouraged to not even do to do stand-up. Like, that was bad. If you did stand-up technique, you were supposed to be a butterfly goalie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like the proper way.
So do you still play it all now?
I do play now, not organized, but I do like rec games and pickup games and whatnot.
You still play goalie? You still got your equipment?
Oh yeah,
awesome, man. I would love to do that.
I've still got my equipment from high school.
I like I said, I played one street hockey game. My buddy, a good friend of mine, going all the way back to like when I was a kid in Toledo. He was a huge hockey nut like you guys are, mm-hmm. and they were short. They played street hockey like every Sunday, and they're like, we need somebody to play. And like Zach said, nobody wanted to play goalie. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So they load me up on all this equipment. I'm like, this is really cool. And I just the most fun I've ever had. I was just like, I just wanted to keep doing it, you know?
The joke is that you have to have something fundamentally wrong with you to be a goalie. Like, there's something off about goalies, because there has to be if you're going to stand there and willingly have people like wing vulcanized rubber at your face.
Well, it's the same thing with playing catcher in baseball. I mean, you've got to be a little off to want to do that too, you know? Mm.
Only in baseball now they have rules to protect the catchers.
Well, that's a bunch of pussy bullshit, but still. But yeah, I think that was the thing that appealed to me, though, like to play catcher and then goalies. I loved all the equipment you got to wear. I thought that was the coolest thing, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyway, shall we move on? I could sit here and talk about 90s hockey all day if you guys want to.
Well, one more thing on 90s hockey. As a kid who played goalie, I unfortunately didn't get to partake in this phenomenon directly, but I did observe it. The biggest thing, if you were a kid in the 90s playing hockey, you were automatically the coolest if you had a pair of white Sergei Fedorov skates from Nike. If you had one of those, you were just like,
yeah.
When I played baseball as a kid, the coolest shoe was white Pumas because that's what the A's were and Reggie Jackson. But yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Before we move on though, while we're still on hockey, the away jerseys have been released for USA and Canada.
Oh, let's take a look.
The USA one so much better than the other one.
Let's see. Oh my God!
The white one is good.
Yeah, that's nice.
Wow.
That's way nice.
I really like the white one.
Yeah.
You get a blue shoulder yoke. You get the USA comes out of the crest, and now it's down the diagonally across the chest, like it's been many times before.
Ranger
and the
stuff.
sleeve striping there's actually something to it.
And it's got
blue cuff with the white, and then
it looks good.
Stripe.
Looks good. Looks real good. Yeah.
I've always been a fan of the USA spelled out diagonally like that. I wish more teams would do that. More American teams would do that. Would kind of take that styling cue. I've never really liked, and you guys are probably going to boo me for this, but I never liked the style of jersey that Team USA wore for the Miracle on Ice.
Yeah.
That had the USA arched. It's
iconic because of what happened while they were wearing it, but it's kind of clunky. I agree.
I always kind of liked it diagonally, you see.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they're not terrible jerseys, but yeah, they are clunky. And if they had, not even made the medal run in those jerseys, I doubt they're popular at all today.
There's also some major hanger effect going on inside those USA jerseys.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
there's something written.
Does it recite
it's
Constitution?
Land of the free and home of the brave. That's what it says. The ending lines to the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh man, I mean, if they put that on the outside, they could probably just then sell it off the rack at Walmart.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs.
Cool.
Take it away.
Have you heard the story about what's going on with Erin Andrews and her trial and ESPN in particular?
I have heard bits and pieces of it, yes.
Basically, the only thing I wanted to mention, because Erin Andrews is going through her trial where she sued the hotel where the peephole video took place.
Yep.
Those years ago. And it's come out through her testimony that before she could go back to work doing her job at college football, ESPN basically told her, you have to do a TV interview with somebody to tell your side of the story and say that that you weren't doing it on purpose. Because at the time, what was going on was there were people that were accusing her of doing it for publicity's sake. Mm-hmm. And so ESPN didn't want this following her around. So they said, you have to do an interview before you go back to doing your job.
That's shitty.
And they tried to get her to go to Good Morning America, but they said, you could do wherever you want. But, it'd be nice if you did it on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
Because it's in the family. She ultimately went her own way and did it with Oprah. But
still, that's just bullshit. That's just, I mean, that's almost
she kept saying how she wanted to just put it behind her and go to work and not have to deal with any of it because she was the victim.
Right.
She wasn't trying to do this on purpose, like people had said. She just wanted to do her job. But ESPN was saying, no. I mean, it was probably good PR for her to do that, but to say you cannot work until you do this.
But if I remember right, the people that were saying she was doing it for PR were those idiot talk radio hosts that always say stupid things.
Oh yeah.
And I just don't know that forcing her to relive that, I don't think is not cool. It's just not cool at all. That's not cool.
She went into detail about what happened when she went to Oprah, and she broke down again.
Yeah.
She almost didn't do the interview in the first place because she couldn't go through with it again.
Did you see that there were allegations too that the hotels were setting this guy up, putting him next to her in these rooms and stuff too? Did you see anything about that?
Right. Yeah.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Just because you are in a hotel room next to an attractive woman does not mean that you have to It's not like he was like, oh, well, I guess I have to do this now.
No. They were helping him. They weren't. No.
That was the thing. The hotel said that Marriott came out and said that we never did anything like that. And you can't, ask where somebody's staying and then ask for a specific room. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what he said. He's that he already got convicted on stalking charges and things like that already. Mm-hmm. that he was basically following her around and asking for the rooms that were next door to her.
Yeah, and they were complying, is what the allegations are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but still, just a bad thing for ESPN to do, to force her, give her the option, sure, I suppose, if she wants it, but to say you have to, that's just wrong, man. Okay.
I really don't have anything else jumping out at me because I'm trying to go through some things here, but nothing on Awful Announcing is really jumping out. Have you seen Jay and Dan's new format?
I have
on
not.
Fox Sports?
No.
It's kind of interesting.
Is it?
Yeah. It's just them in where they did their podcast room in like these two little chairs, and they have fun with it.
Well,
it's a fun alternative to Sports Center.
Well, I think that this is the thing.
I think it's ultimately what it should have been, just a fun alternative rather than trying to go head to head with it. It's a good time.
The article I was trying to remember earlier was about that. Basically, the highlight show that we know it, like the Sports Centers, it's a thing of the past now. It's no more. And what do you guys think about that? I don't know that I really care. I mean, it's kind of a shame, but it was just inevitable, right? That the highlight shows would just go the way of the dinosaur because there's really no reason. Yeah.
Anytime something happens, you immediately get a video sent to your phone.
Right. You can go on your phone, or if you're at home, you're on a computer. It's just you just don't need to wait around to see it. Yeah. I
mean, occasionally I'll go through and watch like all the highlights on NHL Network or something like that just to get the full day thing. But if there's something I need to see, it gets shoved onto my phone.
Right.
Like somebody will let me know, oh, hey, have you seen the thing? And then you can go on Twitter and search, insane goal, or like the Steph Curry half-court buzzer beater. Where Steph Curry is just off the wall.
He's pretty good.
He's insane. He hits a half-court shot in overtime with 0.6 seconds left. It's like, what are you doing, Steph Curry? But I saw that on my phone before I saw it on my phone at least 6 times before I ever saw it on TV.
Well, see, my thinking on it is that, if there's still a place for it, they always try to make the highlight shows young it up, like try to make it more appealing to the young people. Mm-hmm. To me, it seems like if you want to keep it around, and I don't know that it's necessary, but if you want to keep it around, go the other direction. Aim it towards the people that aren't going to be watching it on their phones. Make it older, appeal to the older demographic. But I guess there probably would be no money in that. But it's a thing of the past. It's just another thing that's just gone the way of the.
Plus, if you take out the highlight shows, you have more airtime to have people yelling at each other.
Yeah, and God knows we need more of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Skip Bayless, he needs stuff to do.
I have heard rumors that Skip Bayless may be leaving ESPN at the end of this contract.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
No. No, actually, no.
I don't know
where would he go?
Home.
Well, that would be nice.
I don't know.
Do a show in another country, maybe somewhere. Go ahead.
One more thing before my closing tab, which is a good tab.
Okay.
I'll throw that out there. NFL Combine happened over the weekend. My football partner, Greg.
Oh, yes.
Any thoughts on this year's NFL Combine in Indianapolis?
I didn't watch a single second of it, but I can already tell you this. There are going to be people that are going to be way overrated because of the Combine, and people that are going to be way underrated because of the Combine. And somebody's Wonderlic score will leak. Yeah. That much we know for sure.
The only thing that came out of the Combine that was kind of fun or anything, some lineman was running the 40 and his dick fell out of his pants while he was running it. Oh. And so at the end of the 40, instead of just stopping, he fell to the ground to cover up his dick.
Oh, so it just fell out of his pants, but not complete off of him, because that would have been even funnier.
No. It was just the fly hole on the compression shorts.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ripped or if there was an actual fly hole there, but they his dick was just out there flopping around while he was running the 40.
Well, that would have just the greatest thing would be if that was on live on NFL Network while they were covering the Combine. Oh, well, then there we go. Now it's a party. All right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, nobody, of course, said anything about it. But no, they said.
How could you not? How could you not? Okay,
whoever was doing the commentary, I think it was Rich Eisen. When the thing's over, like he goes the thing and he says the guy falls. And when those guys go down, they go down long and hard.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
All right. So what is the final tab? The great tab. The closer.
Well, are you too familiar with the web sites on cyberspace called Pornhub?
I've read about it in People.
That's a good answer. I'll go with that.
Pornhub. Well, they released some analytical data about their search results.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
Listing the top search result state by state in this great United States of America.
Oh, this is going to be good. Is there a way for us to play a guessing game here?
Well, here, I'll eliminate more than half the country. One term was the top search result in 30 of the 50 states.
Girl on girl.
Lesbian, correct, was the top result in 30 out of the 50 United States of America, including California, Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico.
Utah. Back Utah. The Mormons.
Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, North Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, West and regular Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts.
Great. Ohio is not among the, I guess, as close to normal as you're going to get.
Ohio is even better, Greg. Ohio.
Well, wait, I want to go back to Utah for a second.
Utah,
here.
Yes.
The Mormons liking their lesbian.
Well, now, here's the thing, though. Is it just like, is it just part of the search term? Or is it, you know what I mean? Like, okay, lesbian was used as in like lesbians in magic Mormon underwear or something like that. Does that still count?
I don't think it says the term. It just says the term lesbian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Utah. I'm surprised. Okay, let's talk about Ohio. Am I going to be really thankful that I moved again?
Well, think of Ohio as the northern South.
Okay. Oh God! Don't tell me it's got. Is it going to be something to do with like incest?
Stepsister.
Oh God! Bunch of sick
Ohio,
bastards.
Maine, Minnesota, Montana, and Wyoming.
That's better than just sister. I think, right?
Yeah. Not really.
Because technically you're not related.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a matter of degree. It's not like, okay, well, it's stepsister, so it's not weird. It's still really weird. It's
still weird.
Yeah.
Still weird.
Very weird.
Coming up right behind stepsister, stepmom.
That's fucked up.
Is the top result in Washington, Alaska, Kentucky, and I believe that one's Vermont, or is that New Hampshire? New Hampshire.
Kentucky doesn't surprise me.
No. That's if they were honest, it would just be mom. But they're searching stepmom and hoping that mom will just kind of pop up by accident. Okay.
What's the next level? And I'm going to tell you I'll give you the states and see if you can pick what the next search term is.
Okay.
Nebraska.
Okay.
Arkansas. Tennessee. Vermont.
Mm-hmm. Bernie Sanders porn.
Thank God, no.
I'm going to make a joke here, but I'm not going to be too terribly surprised if I'm right. Has it got something to do with animals?
In a sense, but not really.
Okay.
It's cartoon.
Ah, all right.
Ew.
Cartoon porn,
That's
thing in
strange,
Nebraska,
isn't it?
Arkansas, Tennessee. And
I say that as if like the rest of this isn't strange, and that just happens to be the one weird thing that stuck out amongst all this conversation. Cartoon porn, huh?
Yeah.
Like anime and stuff like that?
Yeah, that, or, people animate The Simpsons having sex as well. It's,
Have you guys ever wondered why? Should I even say this on the air? I guess I probably should since I'm already halfway there.
Yeah, just let it on out.
Have you ever wondered why there isn't like a big market for sex video games? I mean, maybe they exist. I don't know. I've never actually tried to find one, but I'm just thinking that just seems to me like that.
I mean, you can kill hookers in Grand Theft Auto.
Right, I know. But what I'm saying is that you would think there would be like, I don't know what you'd even make, but I'm just wondering why there's not more of that. I just don't understand because
ultimately you can find porn of anything.
Yeah, this is true.
If it exists under the sun, someone A, finds it erotic, and B, has made porn of it.
Yep. There's no question about it. No question.
So we'll just round out the rest of these things. Ebony is the top search result in Mississippi, Georgia, and Delaware.
Okay, now, interesting question. Interesting thing about that. Is that a case of black guys searching for porn of black women, or is it white guys into interracial?
I'm going to go with, considering the states, I'm going to say that it's probably a mixture of both.
Yeah,
but I'll bet you it leans heavier to the white guys, playing out a fantasy that they know will get them killed in real life where they live. Right. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, while Ebony is the top search result there, black is the top search result in Louisiana.
Louisiana is not quite as cultured
as Mississippi,
right? So Ebony, no, they probably don't know what ebony means.
The last two are Rhode Island is a fan of MILFs, and Hawaii, Asian.
Well, that's not too surprising in Hawaii.
No. The Pornhub also did they released their worldwide results. Lesbian is the most searched term on Pornhub worldwide. So
Howard Stern's right. Lesbians equal ratings.
Yeah. They also released their traffic across the world. In 2015, the amount of bandwidth used for Pornhub, 1,892 petabytes.
Well, I don't know if calling it a petabyte's the best idea when referring to porn.
It's like filling all the storage on all the iPhones sold in 2015 with porn.
Wow.
Streamed 75 gigabytes per second were streamed worldwide in 2015 on Pornhub.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said that there's like the internet's like 98% porn and 2% everything else. Mm-hmm.
I'd say 98% porn, then 1.5% cat videos, and then 0.5% everything else.
Yeah, now, I've contributed to the cat videos, I have to admit.
Here's an interesting comparison. So the top 20 countries in proportion of worldwide traffic that visited Pornhub. The overwhelming majority was the United States.
Of course.
Then the UK is second with about a third of the United States porn viewing. India shortly behind the UK. Canada shortly behind India. Germany, France, Australia, Italy.
I would have thought Germany would have been higher.
Now, here's an interesting I don't know how to describe this one. This was worldwide. Time spent per visit to Pornhub.
We're the league leaders in that too, right?
No. The Philippines.
Okay.
12 minutes and 45 seconds per visit.
Wow.
The United States was second at 9 minutes and 51 seconds per visit.
The Philippines, huh?
I mean, you got stuff to do in the United States. I mean, what is there to do in the Philippines, really?
This is true.
But then it breaks it down by United States state, and the longest visits in the United States go to Hawaii.
Really?
Well, they're close out by the Philippines, relatively speaking.
They're followed up behind, very closely behind Mississippi, South Carolina, and Georgia.
Huh.
What do you think? Which state has the shortest amount of time spent on Pornhub per visit?
New York, because they're all hustle and bustle.
That is the 10th shortest.
I'm going to go with
37 seconds.
The least amount of time spent.
I'll give you a hint. It's also the smallest state.
Rhode Island?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
9 minutes and 12 seconds.
Well, they find their milk, get the job done, and move along.
Followed up shortly by Utah, Louisiana, and Massachusetts.
Well, Utah, they stay on there a short time because they're afraid they're going to get caught.
Yes. They break it down by hour. They get most of their traffic between the 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. hours.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Their least amount, 4 a.m. Top searches worldwide. Here's the top searches worldwide. Number 1 was lesbian. Down from first place was teen. Teen was the highest.
Yeah, that troubles me that's even on there because that's just messed up.
Stepmom jumped up 1 spot to number 3, and cartoon jumped up to number 4.
Okay. See, you can't get this kind of analysis anywhere else.
The highest jump among all the terms, though, Up 71 spots from the year previous. Stepmom and Son.
Oh, God.
But then they also have the searches that gained the most percentage of searches over the year. The number one most greatest growth, most improved player.
Greatest growth. Well, that's well put. Okay.
Up 1,091%. Giantess.
Huh?
Oh, God.
What? Okay.
Giantess, like women giants.
Like people into giant, tall women.
Wow. And, I just want to point this out before we close out here. We go to work and walk amongst these people every single day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no way around it. Okay, is that it?
I'm scrolling through these charts to see if there's anything more interesting. Yeah, unless you want to break it down by then they break it down by country. Mike, here you go, Canada.
Oh, okay.
The most searched term in your Canadian provinces?
Okay.
Lesbian.
In all of them?
Yeah. Well, they don't break it down by province. They just this is just Canada.
At least, I don't know, lesbian's probably honestly one of the more normal results in all of this.
Yeah.
Followed up by stepmom, cartoon, teen, MILF, squirt, threesome, stepsister, anal, and Asian.
And there you go.
Celebrity. I would have thought Asian would have been higher because we do have a big Asian immigrant population. But maybe that's why it's not higher.
Right. You have Asians there.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Okay.
A top relative search is searched more in Canada compared to the rest of the world combined. POV, point of view, porn was number 1. Number 2 was threesome. And number 3 is lesbian.
Now, see, all of that seems... none of this particularly disturbs me in comparison to...
See, even in porn, Canada's very polite, even with the pornography, see? You guys you just got it together up there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Get it down by country and...
Like, you weird people in the United States, if you're stepmom porn and you're...
Hey, you guys had stepmom at number 3 on your list, so let's not be looking down our nose too much.
Yeah,
here.
that's probably mostly, like, Newfoundland.
That's interesting. What country has the greatest percentage of female visitors to the site?
Germany.
The Philippines again. 35%.
I've heard there's a lot of strange things that go on in the Philippines.
Yeah,
the Philippines. That's the country where they have communities where, like, to celebrate Easter, they crucify someone, crucify someone.
Well, I can't say it. I wouldn't, I can't say I condone that, but, if you're going to commit to something, commit, right?
Anyway.
All right, on that note.
There is too much data here. They break it down by iPhone versus Android, Xbox versus PlayStation. I'm not even kidding.
There's just something that's just inherently wrong with watching porn on a PlayStation.
Day, Easter Sunday.
Oh, my. I mean, right? It's not just me, right? Porn on a PlayStation is just not right. That's just not right. That's like you're I don't know.
If you had to pick Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, which day does the porn viewing go down in the United States?
I would say Christmas Day.
Yeah, I'd say day.
Christmas Eve, 38% lower than normal.
Well, that's good.
19% on Christmas Day.
That's good. I'm glad to see that. I don't know why I'm glad for that. Okay, can we end the
porn viewing actually goes up in the UK on St. Patrick's Day. And on Good Friday.
Oh, jeez. All right, let's end the porn talk here and end the show. God.
There's an unbelievable amount of stats. I'm just gonna send you this link.
Okay.
Scroll through it at your leisure, I guess.
All right.
Anyway, that's it.
Anyway, we've don't forget, folks. Next week, the Glorious Tournament of Victory Selection Show. That'll be fun. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. The website, you can check out all the old episodes, basicallyasportshow.com. Stitcher, Spreaker, the iTunes, and the YouTubes. And with that, we're going to bring this episode of Basically a Sports Show that was brought to you by Pornhub to an end. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Later.